She was drowning in medical bills and final notices when the most dangerous man in the city stepped out of the shadows to save her. But Ayanna Brooks had no idea that accepting his protection would shatter a 15-year vow that had kept Han Jae-min's enemies at bay. The Korean Mafia boss hadn't touched a woman since the night his wife and unborn child were murdered in a car bomb meant for him, but something about this fierce waitress made him break every rule he'd built to survive. What started as a simple rescue in a dark alley would spiral into a deadly game where Ayanna's refusal to be owned would either destroy them both or force Han to choose between the safety of distance and the dangerous heat of love. But when his enemies discover his weakness, they'll use her grandmother as bait to draw him into one final brutal confrontation at the ferry landing where blood will be spilled and hearts will be broken. The question isn't whether love can conquer fear, it's whether either of them will live long enough to find out. Subscribe and comment below if you've ever had to choose between safety and love, because this story is about to get darker than you think. The red notice slipped under Ayanna's door at exactly midnight. She heard the paper slide across the floor while she counted tips at her kitchen table. $27.18. Not enough. Ayanna felt panic rise in her chest. The rent was due tomorrow. The pharmacy bill sat unpaid on the counter. Her grandmother's medicine would run out in 3 days. She picked up the notice. Final notice. Eviction proceedings. Her hands shook as she read the amount due. $843. Ayanna, her grandmother's voice called from the bedroom. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, Gran. Ayanna folded the notice and shoved it in her pocket. Her voice was steady. Go back to sleep. She heard her grandmother's cough through the thin walls. The sound made her chest tighten. Gran needed her medicine. Gran needed a warm, safe place to sleep. Ayanna grabbed her scooter helmet and keys. One more delivery run. The late-night orders paid double. She could make maybe $40 before dawn. The stairs creaked under her feet. The building was falling apart. Paint peeled from the walls. The elevator hadn't worked in 6 months. But it was home. The only home she could afford. Her scooter waited in the alley behind the building. Ayanna checked her phone. 3 delivery requests. All on the other side of town. All cash tips. She started the engine. The sound echoed off the brick walls. Steam rose from the manholes. The city never slept. Neither did she. Dawn painted the sky grey when Ayanna finished her last delivery. Her back ached. Her eyes burned from riding through fog, but her pocket held $63 in tips. Still not enough. She stopped at the pharmacy on 5th Street. Mrs. Chen smiled when she walked in. The usual prescription? Mrs. Chen asked. Yes. How much do I owe? $87. Ayanna felt her stomach drop. The price had gone up again. She pulled out the tip money and counted it twice. Not enough, not even close. Can I pay half now and half next week? Mrs. Chen's expression softened. I'm sorry, honey. The owner says no more payment plans. Ayanna nodded. She understood. Business was business. She bought 3 days' worth of pills and left the pharmacy with empty pockets. The alley behind her building was darker than usual. 2 men stood near the dumpster. They wore expensive shoes and cheap suits. Ayanna felt fear creep up her spine. You live here? The taller man stepped forward. Yes. Ayanna kept her helmet on, her keys ready. Building security fee is due. $50 a month. I pay rent to the landlord. The shorter man smiled. His teeth were yellow. This is different. Protection money keeps bad things from happening. Ayanna's breath caught. She knew what this was. The neighborhood was changing. New faces demanding money, making threats. I don't have $50. Then you have a problem. A black sedan turned into the alley. The engine was quiet. Expensive. The men looked at the car and stepped back. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out. Tall, dark hair, dark coat. He said nothing. He didn't need to. The 2 men walked away quickly. Their footsteps echoed off the walls. The man in the dark coat looked at Ayanna. His eyes were black, cold, but not cruel. You're hurt, he said. Ayanna touched her face. Her fingertips came away bloody. She hadn't felt the cut. Too much adrenaline. I'm fine. He reached into his coat. Ayanna tensed. He pulled out a clean white cloth and held it toward her. For the blood. She didn't take it. Couldn't trust it. Couldn't trust him. Who are you? Someone who doesn't like bullies. His voice was quiet, controlled, the kind of voice that didn't need to be raised to be heard. Ayanna's helmet slipped from her hands. It hit the pavement with a sharp crack. The man bent and picked it up. He held it toward her. Thank you. She took the helmet. Their fingers brushed. His hands were steady. Hers weren't. Those men won't bother you again. How do you know? Because I told them not to. He got back in the sedan. The car pulled away quietly. Ayana stood in the alley holding her cracked helmet. Her heart was racing. Her hands were shaking. Something had just changed. She didn't know what, but she felt it in her bones. The envelope appeared under her door while she slept. No name, no return address, just her apartment number written in careful handwriting. Ayana opened it. Cash, hundreds and twenties, exactly $843, exactly what she owed in rent. She felt anger burn in her chest, and something else. Something that scared her more than the anger. Relief. She tore the money in half, then in half again, the pieces scattered across her kitchen floor. Ayana felt proud of herself, and terrified. Gran was still sleeping. Her breathing was easier today. The medicine was working. Ayana swept up the torn bills and threw them away. She made coffee and toast. She counted her remaining tip money, $15. Enough for bus fare and maybe lunch. Her phone buzzed. Text from her manager at the diner. Can you cover Sarah's shift, double pay? Ayana typed back. Yes. Double pay meant $50. Still not enough for rent, but it was something. She kissed her grandmother's forehead and left for work. The morning was bright. The cut on her face had scabbed over. Her helmet still had a crack down the middle. The diner was busy. College students and office workers. Everyone in a hurry. Everyone wanting their order faster. Ayana filled coffee cups and took orders. She smiled when customers complained. She nodded when they didn't tip. She did her job. During her break, she sat outside and called the landlord. Mr. Seok-jin, this is Ayana Brooks in 4B. You have my money. I need 3 more days. I'm working extra shifts. The silence stretched. Finally, he spoke. Rent is due today, not 3 days from now. Please, my grandmother is sick. I just need 3 days, then you're out. The line went dead. Ayana felt despair settle in her stomach. 3 days to find $800. Impossible. She looked across the street. A man in a dark coat stood near a lamppost. Tall, familiar. He was watching her. Her heart raced. She stood up and walked inside. When she looked back, he was gone. But she knew he'd been there. The man from the alley. The man with the black sedan. The man who didn't like bullies. The man who'd left money under her door. Seok-jin arrived at her apartment with 2 other men. Large men with thick necks and empty eyes. They stood in her doorway and smiled. You have my money? Seok-jin asked. I told you. 3 more days. Time's up. These gentlemen are here to help you pack. Ayana felt terror freeze her blood. My grandmother is sleeping. Wake her up. The 2 large men stepped forward. Ayana moved to block them. Her body was small. Theirs weren't, but she wouldn't move aside. Please, she's sick. She needs rest. She can rest somewhere else. A shadow fell across the doorway. Ayana looked up. The man in the dark coat stood in the hallway. Silent, still. Seok-jin turned around. His face went white. Mr. Han, I didn't know you were... We were just collecting rent. From a sick woman. Han's voice was quiet. Deadly quiet. Something shifted in his expression. The air in the hallway grew cold. It's business, Seok-jin said. Nothing personal. Everything is personal. The 2 large men looked at each other. They stepped away from Ayana's door. We should go, one of them whispered. Seok-jin nodded quickly. Yes, we should go. They walked away fast. Their footsteps echoed in the stairwell. Han stood in the doorway. His eyes found hers. Black eyes. Serious eyes. Are you hurt? No. Your grandmother? She's sleeping. He nodded once. Then he turned to leave. Wait, Ayana called. He stopped. Who are you? Someone who pays attention. That's not an answer. His mouth almost smiled. Almost. My name is Han Jae-min. Ayana. I know. That scared her. And thrilled her. She didn't want to examine why. The money you left. I can't take it. Why not? Because I don't know what you want in return. I don't want anything. Everyone wants something. The silence stretched between them. Han stepped closer. Ayana's breath caught. You're bleeding, he said. She looked down. Blood dripped from her palm. She'd been gripping her keys too tightly. The metal had cut her skin. Han reached into his coat. He pulled out the same white cloth from the alley, clean, pressed, ready. Let me see. Ayana held out her hand. Han took her wrist gently. His fingers were warm, steady. He pressed the cloth against the cut. His hands trembled, just for a second, just enough for her to notice. You're shaking. she whispered. Han released her wrist and stepped back. His face was pale. I should go. He left without another word. Ayana stood in her doorway holding the bloody cloth. Her wrist still tingled where he'd touched her. She felt confused, grateful, scared, but mostly she felt safe. The pharmacy account was paid the next morning. Ayana stared at Mrs. Chen across the counter. Someone called and set up a house account for your grandmother's medication. Who? They didn't give a name, just a credit card number and authorization for unlimited refills. Ayana felt fury and gratitude war in her chest. The fury won. I need the address where the bill gets sent. Mrs. Chen wrote it down on a prescription pad. An address in the hills, where rich people lived, where the houses had gates and gardens. Ayana rode her scooter up the winding road. Her helmet still had the crack. Her jacket was too thin for the cold air, but anger kept her warm. The mansion sat behind iron gates, glass and stone, clean lines, perfect landscaping, a fortress disguised as a home. She pressed the buzzer. Yes? A woman's voice. Formal, suspicious. I need to speak to Han Jae-min. The silence stretched. Then the gates opened. Ayana rode her scooter up the long driveway. The house was bigger than her entire apartment building. Windows reflected the grey sky. Everything was silent. Perfect. Intimidating. Han waited at the front door. He wore a black shirt and dark pants. No coat, no tie. He looked younger in the daylight, and more dangerous. You came, he said. You paid for my grandmother's medicine. Yes. I told you I can't take your money. It's not a loan. Then what is it? A gift. Ayana's hands tightened into fists. I don't accept gifts from strangers. We're not strangers anymore, aren't we? Han stepped closer. His eyes found hers, black eyes that seemed to see everything. What do you want to know? Everything. Who you are, what you do, why you're helping me. I told you. I don't like bullies. That's not enough. The silence stretched between them. In the distance, sirens wailed, getting closer, coming from the direction of her neighborhood. Ayana felt panic rise in her throat. I have to go. Wait. My grandmother. I'll drive you. He was already walking toward a black sedan, the same car from the alley. Ayana followed. She had no choice. The drive down the hill was silent. The sirens grew louder. Smoke rose from somewhere ahead. Ayana's chest tightened with fear. They turned onto her street. Fire trucks blocked the road. Police cars, ambulances. Her building was on fire. Ayana jumped from the sedan before it stopped moving. She ran toward the flames. A firefighter caught her arm. You can't go in there, miss. My grandmother is on the 4th floor. The building's been evacuated. Everyone got out. Ayana felt her legs give out. The firefighter helped her sit on the curb. Her building was burning, her home, her life. Han knelt beside her. His voice was gentle. Where is your grandmother now? The hospital. They said smoke inhalation. I'll take you to her. Ayana looked at him. This stranger who kept appearing when she needed help. This man who paid her bills and saved her from bullies. Why are you doing this? Because you need help. I don't need anything from you. But even as she said it, she knew it wasn't true. Her home was gone. Her grandmother was sick. She had nowhere else to turn. Yes, she said quietly. You can drive me to the hospital. Gran was breathing through an oxygen mask when they arrived. Her eyes were closed. Her skin was grey, but she was alive. The doctor met them in the hallway. She'll recover. The smoke inhalation wasn't severe, but she'll need care. Someone to watch her breathing, make sure she rests. When can she come home? Ayana asked. The doctor looked uncomfortable. Do you have a home? I heard about the fire. Ayana felt tears burn her eyes. She blinked them away. She wouldn't cry. Not here. Not in front of Han. We'll figure something out, she said. Han spoke quietly to the doctor. Too quietly for Ayana to hear. The doctor nodded and walked away. What did you tell him? That your grandmother will have a safe place to recover. What safe place? My house. Ayana felt anger flare again. I told you. Look at her. Ayana looked through the window. Gran was so small in the hospital bed, so fragile. Her breathing was shallow. Her lips were pale. She needs care, Han said. Quiet, clean air, a nurse on call. I can take care of her. Where? Your building is gone. You have no money, no family, no options. Each word hit like a slap, because it was true. All of it. What do you want in return? Ayana asked. Nothing. I don't believe you. Han was quiet for a long moment. He looked through the window at Gran. My house is big, empty, safe. Your grandmother can recover there. You can stay with her. No debt, no obligation. For how long? As long as you need. Ayana studied his face, looking for lies, for hidden motives, for danger. She found none of those things. She found something else, something that scared her more. Kindness, real kindness, the kind that expected nothing in return. One night, she said, until I can find somewhere else. One night. But even as they made the agreement, Ayana knew it wouldn't be just one night. Something was beginning between them. Something that felt bigger than gratitude, bigger than debt. Something that felt dangerously close to trust. The mansion was different at night, softer. Warmer light spilled from windows. A woman in her 50s met them at the door. Her hair was silver. Her smile was kind. "This is Madame K," Han said. "She manages the house." Madame K bowed slightly. "Welcome, Miss Brooks. Your grandmother's room is ready." They carried Gran to a bedroom on the first floor. The bed was soft, white sheets, fresh flowers on the nightstand. A call button connected to the kitchen. "A nurse will check on her every 2 hours," Madame K said. "I have her medication schedule." Ayana felt overwhelmed. The kindness was too much, too generous, too good to be true. "My room?" she asked. "Next door, so you can hear if she needs anything." Ayana's room was simple but elegant. Clean lines, soft colors, a bathroom with hot water and thick towels, a window that looked over gardens. She sat on the bed and tried to process everything. This morning she'd woken up in her cramped apartment. Now she was in a mansion. Her grandmother was safe. Her medicine was paid for, and she owed it all to a man she barely knew, a man who might be more dangerous than he seemed. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Han stood in the hallway holding a teacup. "Chamomile," he said. "For sleep." She took the cup. Their fingers brushed again. His hands were steady now. Hers weren't. "Thank you." "For what?" "Everything. The hospital, the room, taking care of Gran." Han was quiet for a moment. His eyes found hers. Something shifted in his expression, something that looked almost like pain. "When I touched your wrist today, I haven't—" He stopped, started again. "It's been a long time since I helped someone." "How long?" 15 years. The number hung between them, heavy, loaded with meaning Ayana didn't understand. "Why me?" she asked. "I don't know." But his eyes said he did know. They said she mattered. They said he'd made a choice that changed everything. "The tea is getting cold," he said. Ayana realized she was staring. She lifted the cup and sipped. Warm, sweet. "Perfect. Good night, Ayana." "Good night." He walked away. Ayana watched him go. His shoulders were broad. His steps were quiet. Everything about him spoke of control, discipline, power held in check. She closed her door and leaned against it. Her heart was racing. Her hands were shaking. Tomorrow she would find another place to live. Tomorrow she would rebuild her life. Tonight she would sleep in safety. Tonight she would try not to think about the man down the hall, the man who'd saved her twice, the man whose hands trembled when he touched her, the man who hadn't helped anyone in 15 years. But as she drifted off to sleep, one thought kept circling in her mind. Why 15 years? And what had happened to make him stop? Ayana woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then memory crashed back. The fire, the hospital, Han. She pulled on yesterday's clothes and went to check on Gran. The older woman was sitting up in bed. Color returned to her cheeks. A nurse sat nearby reading a medical chart. "Good morning, baby," Gran said. Her voice was stronger. "How do you feel?" "Like I can breathe again. This oxygen thing works better than our old radiator." Ayana felt relief flood her chest. Gran was going to be okay. They were both going to be okay. "Where are we?" Gran asked. "A friend's house, temporary. Some friend. This bed costs more than our rent." A soft knock interrupted them. Madame K stood in the doorway holding a breakfast tray. "The doctor called," she said. "Your grandmother can eat solid food today. I made congee with chicken." Gran's eyes lit up. "You speak Korean?" "Yes." Mr. Han insisted on Korean-style care for recovery. Ayana felt her stomach tighten. Han had planned this, arranged everything, down to the smallest detail. "Where is he?" Ayana asked. "Kitchen. He cooks breakfast every morning at 6. Ayana found him standing at the stove. He wore dark jeans and a white shirt. His hair was still damp from the shower. His movements were precise, controlled. "Good morning," he said without turning around. "You cook?" "Yes." "Why?" "Control." The honest answer surprised her. Han turned around holding a plate. Eggs, toast, fresh fruit arranged with surgical precision. For you, he said. Ayana took the plate. The eggs were perfect. The toast was golden. Everything looked beautiful. I should find my own place today. Why? Because I can't stay here forever. Why not? The question hung between them. Ayana set down the plate. Her hands were shaking. Because I don't know what you want from me. Han was quiet for a long moment. His eyes found hers. I want you to be safe. Why? I don't know. But something shifted in his expression. Something that looked almost like longing. Your grandmother needs 2 weeks of recovery, he said. The nurse thinks 3 would be better. I can't accept 3 weeks of charity. It's not charity. Then what is it? Han turned back to the stove. His shoulders were tense. Stay for your grandmother. Decide the rest later. Ayana felt trapped between pride and practicality. Gran needed care, professional care, the kind only money could buy, money she didn't have. What are the rules? She asked. Rules? If I stay, what do you expect? Han turned around again. His voice was careful. No leaving the grounds alone after dark. Security escort for public errands. Text when you arrive somewhere safe. That sounds like prison. That sounds like staying alive. The words hit her wrong. Too serious. Too final. What aren't you telling me? Ayana asked. The men from the alley work for someone. Someone who doesn't forgive embarrassment. Ayana felt fear creep up her spine. What kind of someone? The dangerous kind. The burner phone buzzed on the nightstand. Do-hyun picked it up and read the message aloud. The girl is protected now. Han Jae-min thinks his walls matter. Sang-ho smiled from behind his desk. His office overlooked the docks. Shipping containers stretched toward the horizon. Money moved through this place every day. Dirty money, clean money. It all looked the same. Han has forgotten who he used to be, Sang-ho said. He remembers enough to end 2 of our collectors. One woman made him soft. Now another woman will break him. Do-hyun frowned. He didn't like targeting civilians. It brought attention, heat from police, problems that cost money to solve. The old woman is sick, he said. The younger one has nothing. They're not valuable targets. They're valuable to Han. That makes them valuable to me. Sang-ho opened a file folder. Photos of Ayana leaving the diner, walking to the pharmacy, riding her scooter through traffic. Find her routine, her weaknesses, everyone she cares about. And then? Then we remind Han that protection has limits. Ayana spent the morning exploring the mansion. Rooms she couldn't count. Art she couldn't afford. Silence that felt expensive. She found Han in a study lined with books. He sat at a desk reading financial reports. Numbers and charts covered the pages. What do you do? She asked. Business. What kind of business? Han looked up from the papers. His eyes were careful. Import. Export. Moving things from one place to another. Legal things. Mostly. The word mostly hung between them. Ayana felt her chest tighten. Are you dangerous? Yes. Another honest answer. Another surprise. To me? No. How do I know that's true? Han set down his pen. He looked at her for a long moment. Because 15 years ago I made a promise. I've never broken it. What promise? To never hurt an innocent person again. The word again hit her stomach wrong. She wanted to ask more questions, wanted to understand what he'd done 15 years ago, what had changed him. But the door to the study was closed. Privacy surrounded them, and Ayana suddenly realized how alone they were, how alone she'd been with him from the beginning. I should check on Gran, she said. Ayana, she stopped at the door. The promise includes protecting innocent people, not just avoiding harm. I'm not innocent. You are to me. The words were quiet, final. They carried weight she didn't understand. Ayana left the study with her heart racing. Han's voice echoed in her head. The way he'd said, to me, the way his eyes had held hers. She was in danger, but not from him. She was in danger of trusting him. The scooter key appeared on the kitchen counter after lunch. No note, no explanation. Just a key attached to a brand new helmet. Ayana found Han in the garden. He was trimming roses with the same precision he used for cooking. Every cut was deliberate. Perfect. I can't accept this, she said. She held up the key. Why not? Because my old scooter was mine. I bought it. I earned it. This one is also yours. No, it's yours. Everything here is yours. Han set down the pruning shears. He turned to face her. Do you want to leave? I want to pay my own way. How? The question was simple. The answer wasn't. Ayana had no apartment, no savings, no options. I'll find work. Where? The diner will give me more shifts. The diner is 20 miles away. How will you get there? Ayana held up the scooter key. The irony wasn't lost on her. You planned this, she said. Yes. You want me dependent on you. I want you safe. Same thing. Han was quiet for a moment. Something shifted in his expression. Pain flickered across his features. Dependence and safety aren't the same thing, he said. One traps you, the other protects you. What's the difference? Choice. You can leave any time you want. Can I? Yes. But even as he said it, Ayana knew it wasn't entirely true. The men from the alley were still out there. Her building was still burned. Her grandmother still needed care. She was trapped by circumstances, not by Han. The distinction mattered, but it didn't change the reality. I'll use the scooter, she said, for work, to help Gran. Nothing else. Nothing else, Han agreed, but his eyes said something different. His eyes said he wanted her to stay, not just for safety, not just for Gran, for him. Ayana tried to sneak out for her evening shift at the diner. She made it to the front gate before Do Hyun appeared beside the black sedan. Going somewhere? He asked. His voice was polite. His smile was real. Work. Mr. Han mentioned you might need an escort. I don't need a babysitter. Good, because I'm terrible with children. Despite herself, Ayana smiled. Do Hyun was younger than Han, friendlier, but his eyes held the same careful watchfulness. You work for him, she said. With him, there's a difference. What difference? Choice. The same word Han had used. Ayana wondered if they'd rehearsed this conversation. I can drive myself. I'm sure you can. But two people see more than one. Do Hyun opened the sedan door. The interior was leather and silence. Please. It would make both our lives easier. Ayana looked at the mansion behind her. Lights glowed in the windows. Safe, warm, beautiful, and temporary. Fine, but I drive my own scooter home. Deal. The drive to the diner was quiet. Do Hyun followed at a respectful distance. Close enough to help, far enough to give her space. The diner was busy. Friday night crowd. College students and couples. Everyone happy. Everyone normal. Ayana served coffee and took orders. She smiled at customers and counted tips. But part of her mind stayed focused on the window, on the sedan parked across the street, on the two men who'd appeared during her break. Men in cheap suits and expensive shoes. Men who looked familiar. Men who looked dangerous. She texted Do Hyun. 2 men. Corner booth. Watching me. Her phone buzzed back immediately. Scene. Stay inside. The 2 men ordered coffee. They sat for an hour without drinking it. They watched Ayana work. They watched the other customers. They took pictures with their phones. When her shift ended, they left first. Do Hyun met her at the back door. They're gone, he said. Who were they? Scouts. For what? Do Hyun's expression was grim. For someone who wants to know your schedule. Ayana felt cold spread through her chest. The man from the alley? His boss. They drove back to the mansion in silence. Ayana's hands shook on the scooter handlebars. The men had found her workplace. They knew where she went, when she went, how long she stayed. They were watching her. Han waited in the driveway when she arrived. His face was stone. His eyes were black fire. Are you hurt? No. Did they approach you? No. They just watched. Han nodded once. Something shifted in his expression. Something that looked dangerously close to rage. You won't be going back to the diner. Yes, I will. No, you won't. Ayana felt anger flare in her chest. You can't keep me locked up here. I can keep you alive. Same thing. Han stepped closer. His voice was quiet, deadly quiet. They took pictures of you tonight. Those pictures will be sent to someone who enjoys hurting people. Someone who knows hurting you will hurt me. Why would hurting me hurt you? The question hung between them. Han's eyes found hers. Something passed between them. Something electric. Something dangerous. Because it would, he said simply. The memorial room was at the end of the hall. Ayana had noticed it her first night. The door was always closed, always locked. No one went in or out. She found it open at 3 in the morning. Light spilled into the hallway. Soft light, candle light. Ayana approached quietly. She didn't want to intrude, but curiosity pulled her forward. The room was beautiful and heartbreaking. Wedding photos lined the walls. A young woman in white, dark hair, bright smile, standing next to a younger version of Han. He looked happy in the photos, peaceful, whole. On the desk sat an ultrasound picture, black and white, fuzzy, but unmistakably a baby. Next to it lay a newspaper clipping. The headline was in Korean. But Ayana recognized the photo. A car, twisted metal, smoke. Her name was Ji Young. Ayana spun around. Han stood in the doorway. His face was pale. His hands were shaking. "I'm sorry," Ayana said. "I saw the light. I didn't mean to—" She was 26, pregnant with our son. Ayana felt her breath catch. The pieces fell into place. The memorial room, the 15-year vow, the reason Han lived alone in a mansion built for a family. What happened? Han stepped into the room. He touched the ultrasound picture gently. "A bomb meant for me, in our car. She was going to buy cribs." The words were simple, brutal. They explained everything. "The men who planted it?" Ayana asked. "Dead. All of them?" "All of them." Han's voice was flat, final. No emotion, no regret. "Is that what you do? Kill people?" "I used to. And now? Now I try to protect people instead." Ayana looked around the room again. The photos, the ultrasound, the newspaper clipping. "Is that why you haven't touched anyone in 15 years? Han was quiet for a long moment. His eyes found hers. "Every person I've ever loved has died because of me. So you stopped loving people." "I stopped touching them, stopped getting close, stopped giving my enemies targets." Ayana felt tears burn her eyes. For the woman in the photos, for the baby who never had a chance, for Han living alone with his grief. "But you helped me." "Yes." "Why?" Han looked at her for a long moment. Something shifted in his expression. Pain, longing, fear. "Because when I saw you in that alley, I remembered what it felt like to want to protect someone, and that scared you, terrified me." Ayana stepped closer. Han tensed. She could see the war in his eyes, between wanting to touch her and wanting to keep her safe. "Your wife died because bad men planted a bomb," she said. "Not because you loved her. The bomb was meant for me. The guilt is eating you alive." Han was quiet. His breathing was shallow. "When you touched my wrist," Ayana said, "when you cleaned my cut, you were shaking." "Yes." "Because you haven't touched anyone in 15 years." "Yes." "Or because touching me felt right." Han's breath caught. His eyes found hers. "Both." The word hung between them. Heavy. Loaded with 15 years of loneliness and guilt and fear. Ayana reached out slowly. Her fingertips touched his hand. He didn't pull away. "Your touch didn't break me," she whispered. "It steadied me." Han closed his eyes. His hand turned over, his fingers interlaced with hers. "I'm afraid," he said. "Of what?" "Of getting you killed. I'm already in danger. Because of the men from the alley. Because of your enemies. Touching me didn't cause that. But caring about you makes it worse." "Do you? Care about me?" Han opened his eyes. They were black, deep, honest. "Yes." The admission hung between them. Everything changed. The air, the silence, the space that separated them. "I care about you too," Ayana said. It was the truth. Terrifying and wonderful and completely true. Han lifted their joined hands. He pressed his lips to her knuckles. Soft, gentle. The kiss of a man who'd forgotten how to be tender. "I won't let anyone hurt you," he said. "I know." But even as she said it, Ayana knew they were both lying to themselves. Someone was already trying to hurt her. Someone who knew exactly how much she meant to Han. Someone who was getting closer every day. The text arrived while Han was cooking breakfast. Unknown number, untraceable phone. Ferry landing, midnight, come alone or the old woman dies. Do-hyun read it over Han's shoulder. His face went white. "It's a trap," Do-hyun said. "Of course it's a trap. You can't go." Han looked toward the bedroom where Ayana and her grandmother were sleeping. Safe, for now. They have eyes on the hospital, contacts in the system. If they want to hurt her grandmother, they can. So we move them. Safe house, private medical facility. Running looks like weakness. Going looks like stupidity. Han was quiet for a moment. His hands were steady as he cracked eggs into the pan, but his mind was racing. Sang-ho was escalating, testing boundaries, looking for pressure points. He'd found one. "Double the security on the house," Han said. "Medical team on standby. If this goes wrong, it won't go wrong. If it does, get them out. Both of them. Different country if necessary." Do-hyun nodded grimly. "What about the girl? Does she know?" "She will." But Han knew Ayana well enough by now. She wouldn't stay hidden while others faced danger because of her. She'd want to fight, to help, to take control of her own fate. That strength was what drew him to her. It was also what terrified him, because strong people made choices, and sometimes those choices got them killed. The burner phone buzzed again. Another message. this time with a photo, Gran's hospital bracelet, her medical chart, her room number from 2 days ago. The message was clear, we can reach her anywhere. Han deleted the messages. He finished cooking breakfast. He carried a tray to Ayana's room and knocked softly. "Good morning," he said when she answered the door. She was beautiful in the morning light, sleep-tousled hair, worried eyes, completely unaware that her world was about to change again. "Is Gran okay?" she asked. "She's fine, sleeping peacefully. You look tired." "I had some business to handle." Ayana studied his face, looking for lies, for danger signs, for the truth he was trying to hide. "What kind of business?" "The kind that keeps you safe." But they both knew safety was an illusion. They both knew the men who wanted to hurt them wouldn't give up, wouldn't stop, wouldn't show mercy. All they could do was fight back and pray they were strong enough to win. Ayana found the note after Han left for his meeting. It was tucked under her coffee cup, written in his careful handwriting. "If something happens to me, Do-hyun will take care of you and your grandmother. There's money in the account. Enough for a new life anywhere you want." She read it twice, 3 times. Then she ran through the house looking for him. "Where did he go?" she asked Do-hyun. "Meeting." "What kind of meeting?" Do-hyun's expression was grim. "The dangerous kind." Ayana felt panic rise in her throat. "He's in trouble because of me. He's in trouble because of choices he made 15 years ago. You're just the reason he finally decided to finish it." "Finish what?" "The war that's been building since his wife died." Ayana sank into a chair. Her hands were shaking. Her chest was tight. "How do I help him?" "You don't. You stay here, you stay safe, you give him something to come home to." But waiting wasn't in Ayana's nature. Never had been. She'd fought her whole life, fought for her grandmother, for her home, for survival. She wouldn't stop fighting now. Not when the man she was falling in love with was walking into danger because of her. The realization hit her like a physical blow. She was falling in love with Han Jae-min, the man who hadn't touched anyone in 15 years, the man who cooked breakfast with surgical precision, the man who'd saved her life twice, the man who might die tonight because he cared about her. "Where's the ferry landing?" she asked. Do-hyun's eyes sharpened. "Why?" "Because I won't hide while he faces danger alone. He specifically told me to keep you here. He told you to keep me safe. Not the same thing." "Yes, it is." Ayana stood up. Her voice was steady. "I'm going to that ferry landing. You can help me or try to stop me, but I'm going." Do-hyun studied her face, looking for weakness, for doubt, for fear. He found determination instead. "The landing is by the water, industrial district, no backup, no escape routes." "How long until midnight?" 6 hours. "Then we have time to plan." Do-hyun was quiet for a long moment. Then he smiled grimly. "You're just as stubborn as he is." "Is that why he likes me?" "It's why he loves you." The words hit Ayana's heart like a bell. Han loved her. Do-hyun had said it casually, matter-of-factly, like it was obvious to everyone but her. Maybe it was. Maybe she'd been blind to what was happening between them. The careful touches, the protective instincts, the way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching. Love, the most dangerous emotion in Han's world. The thing that had gotten his wife killed. The thing he'd sworn never to feel again. But he felt it anyway, for her. "We need weapons," Ayana said. "You know how to fight?" "I know how to survive." Do-hyun nodded slowly. Survival might be enough. The ferry landing smelled of salt and rust. Wind cut across the water like knives. Ayana crouched behind shipping containers with Do-hyun, her heart hammered against her ribs. "He's not going to forgive us for this," Do-hyun whispered. "He'll forgive us if we're alive to apologize." 3 cars sat in the parking lot, black sedans with tinted windows. Men stood near the water, too many men, all armed. Ayana felt fear creep up her spine. This wasn't a meeting. This was an execution. "Where is he?" she asked. Do-hyun pointed toward the ferry dock. Han walked alone across the concrete. His hands were empty. His coat flapped in the wind. He looked small against the industrial landscape. He looked vulnerable. "The plan was to get close," Do-hyun said. "Identify the leader. Take him out quietly." "What's the new plan?" "Try not to die." A tall man stepped away from the group. Asian, expensive suit, cold smile. He said something to Han, too far away to hear words, but Ayana could see body language, predator and prey. "That's Sang-ho," Do-hyun said. "Han's cousin. Family. The worst kind." Sang-ho raised his hand. The other men moved forward, surrounding Han, cutting off escape routes. Ayana's breath caught. "They're going to kill him." "Not yet." They want to hurt him first. One of the men pulled out a knife. The blade caught moonlight. Han didn't move, didn't flinch. He stood perfectly still, waiting. "Why isn't he fighting back?" Ayana asked. "Because you're supposed to be safe at home. He doesn't know we're here. So he's accepting death to keep me protected." Yes. Ayana felt rage burn in her chest. Pure, clean, focused rage. Not happening. She stood up before Do-hyun could stop her. She walked out from behind the containers. Her footsteps echoed across the concrete. All eyes turned toward her. The men with guns. Sang-ho with his cold smile. Han with his black eyes. Han's expression went from surprise to terror to fury, all in the space of a heartbeat. "Ayana," his voice carried across the water. "Run." "No." She kept walking, closer to the group, closer to danger, closer to the man she loved. Sang-ho laughed. "The woman who broke my cousin's vow. You're smaller than I expected." "You're exactly what I expected," Ayana said. "Weak men always travel in packs." Sang-ho's smile disappeared. "You have a sharp tongue. You have a small ego." The man with the knife stepped toward her. Han moved faster. He caught the man's wrist and twisted. The knife clattered across concrete. "Don't touch her." Han's voice was deadly quiet. Something shifted in his expression. The careful control cracked. 15 years of contained violence leaked through. "There he is," Sang-ho said. "The monster I remember." More men emerged from the shadows, too many to count. All armed, all focused on Han and Ayana. Do-hyun appeared behind them, gun drawn, professional calm. "Evening, gentlemen." The standoff stretched. Wind howled across the water. Waves crashed against the dock. Everyone waited for someone to make the first move. Sang-ho broke the silence. "You killed my men 15 years ago, over a woman who died anyway." "I killed them because they murdered innocents," Han said. "And now history repeats. Another woman, another target. History ends tonight." Han stepped forward. His hands were empty but deadly, every muscle coiled, ready. "You should have stayed hidden, cousin. Should have kept your vow. My vow was to never hurt innocents, not to let them be hurt." The knife flashed again. Different man. Same blade. It moved toward Ayana. Han stepped between them. The blade caught his forearm. Blood bloomed across his white shirt. He didn't make a sound. He grabbed the attacker's throat and squeezed. The man dropped, silent, final. Chaos erupted. Gunshots cracked across the water. Do-hyun moved with military precision, taking cover, returning fire, protecting their flank. Han fought like a force of nature. No wasted motion, no hesitation. 15 years of suppressed violence unleashed in brutal efficiency. Ayana pressed herself against a shipping container. Her hands shook. Her chest was tight. But her eyes stayed on Han. He was beautiful in violence. Terrible and magnificent. A weapon disguised as a man. 3 men down. 4, 5. Sang-ho backed toward the water. His gun was drawn but shaking. "You always were too sentimental," he called. "First Ji-young, now this one. Love makes you weak." Han stopped moving. Blood dripped from his arm. His breathing was controlled. "Love makes me dangerous. Love gets you killed. So does stupidity." The final shot came from behind Sang-ho. Do-hyun's rifle. Clean. Professional. Permanent. Sang-ho fell into the dark water. The sound echoed across the landing. Silence returned, except for wind and waves and Ayana's ragged breathing. Han turned toward her. His shirt was torn. Blood stained his sleeve, but his eyes were gentle. "Are you hurt?" "No." "Good." He walked toward her slowly, like approaching a wounded animal, like she might bolt if he moved too fast. "You shouldn't have come. Neither should you. This was my fight." "No, this was our fight." Han stopped in front of her. His hand reached toward her face, hesitated, hovered inches from her skin. "I could have lost you tonight, but you didn't. I could have gotten you killed, but you didn't." Han's fingers finally touched her cheek, soft, gentle, trembling. "I was so scared," he whispered. "Me too. When I saw you walking across that concrete, you thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to watch you die, like Ji-young, like everyone I've ever—" His voice broke. 15 years of grief and guilt and fear poured out in that silence. Ayana caught his hand, pressed it against her cheek. "I'm alive. You're alive. We're both alive. For now, forever. This is over, Han. Your cousin is dead. His men are gone. No one else knows about us." Han was quiet for a long moment. His thumb traced her cheekbone. "There will always be someone else. Other enemies, other threats. Then we'll face them together. Together. The word tasted foreign in his mouth, like something he'd forgotten how to say. Together, Ayana repeated. If you want that. Han's other hand cupped her face. Both hands now, holding her like something precious. I've wanted that since the moment I saw you in the alley. Then why did you fight it? Because wanting you felt like betraying Ji Young. And now? Now I think Ji Young would want me to be happy. Ayana felt tears burn her eyes. For Han, for the woman he'd lost, for the love they'd both been afraid to claim. Are you happy? Han leaned closer. His forehead touched hers. His breath was warm against her lips. Getting there. The drive back to the mansion was silent. Do-hyun followed in a second car, making sure they weren't followed, making sure the danger was truly over. Han's injured arm was bandaged but still bleeding. Ayana wanted to take him to a hospital. He refused. Madame K was a nurse before she worked for me, he said. That was 20 years ago. Some skills don't fade. They pulled into the driveway as dawn touched the horizon. The mansion looked peaceful, safe, home. Madame K met them at the door. She took one look at Han's bloodied shirt and ushered them inside. Sit, she commanded. Both of you. Han sat at the kitchen table. Ayana sat beside him, close enough to touch, close enough to feel his warmth. Madame K cleaned the knife wound with practiced efficiency. The cut was deep, but clean. No permanent damage. You'll have a scar, she said. I have others. This one will remind you of tonight. I don't want to forget tonight. Han's eyes found Ayana's. Something passed between them. Understanding, commitment, love, finally acknowledged. Madame K finished the bandaging and left them alone. The kitchen was quiet except for the coffee maker and distant birdsong. How do you feel? Ayana asked. Different. How? Lighter. Like I've been carrying weight for 15 years and finally set it down. Ayana touched his bandaged arm gently. Does it hurt? Everything hurts. But everything feels possible now. What feels possible? Han turned in his chair, facing her fully. His hands found hers. A future. With you. If you want that. I want that. Even knowing what I am, what I've done. Because of what you are. What you've done tonight was protect me. I've killed people, Ayana. I know. I'll probably kill again if someone threatens you. I know. That doesn't scare you? Ayana was quiet for a moment, thinking about fear, about safety, about the man sitting across from her. What scares me is the idea of losing you. You won't lose me. Promise? I promise. Han lifted their joined hands. He kissed her knuckles like he had in the memorial room, but this time there was no hesitation, no guilt, no fear. I love you, he said. The words hung between them. Simple, true. 15 years in the making. I love you too. Ayana had never said those words to a man before, had never felt them with such certainty, such completeness. What happens now? She asked. Now we figure out how to build a life together. What about your enemies, your business? My business is changing, legitimate ventures only, and my enemies are learning that touching you is suicide. You can't protect me from everything. I can try. You can love me instead. Han smiled, really smiled. The first genuine happiness she'd seen from him. I can do both. 2 weeks later, Ayana found Han in his study. He was burning papers, financial records, contact lists, evidence of the life he was leaving behind. Spring cleaning? She asked. More like purging. She watched him feed documents to the flames. His movements were deliberate, final. Any regrets? About changing my business? No. About that night at the ferry? Han looked up from the fire. His eyes found hers. My only regret is that it took me 15 years to fight back. You weren't ready 15 years ago. I wasn't angry enough. And now? Now I have something worth fighting for. Ayana walked around the desk. She stood behind his chair and wrapped her arms around his shoulders. The bandage was gone. The scar was pale pink against his skin. Tell me about the legitimate businesses. Construction, real estate development, import licensing for legal goods. Boring. Profitable. Safe. Stable. Sexy. Han laughed. The sound filled the study with warmth. You find corporate paperwork sexy. I find you sexy. The paperwork is just a bonus. Han turned in his chair. His arms circled her waist, pulled her closer. I have something for you. What? A deed. To your old building. Ayana felt her breath catch. What do you mean? I bought it, fixed the fire damage, evicted the corrupt landlord. Your neighbors can stay as long as they want. Han, it's not charity. It's an investment. Property values in that neighborhood are rising. But his eyes said something different. His eyes said it was love, pure and simple. You bought an entire building for me. I bought it for us, for the future we're building. What future? Han stood up. His hands framed her face. Marriage, children, growing old together. You want children? I want everything with you. The admission hung between them, precious, fragile, full of possibility. I've never thought about marriage, Ayana said. Think about it now. She did. She thought about white dresses and promises, about children with Han's dark eyes and her stubborn chin, about growing old in the mansion with gardens and safety and love. I'd want to keep working, she said. Of course. And take care of Gran, always. And you'd have to promise to cook breakfast every morning. Deal. And you'd have to promise to touch me every day. No more 15-year vows. Han's smile was soft. That's the easiest promise I've ever made. He kissed her forehead. Soft, gentle, full of reverence. Is that a yes? He asked. Ask me properly. Han stepped back. He reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a small velvet box. I've been carrying this for a week. A week? I bought it the day after the ferry, when I realized I couldn't live without you. He opened the box. The ring was simple, elegant, perfect. Ayana Brooks. Will you marry me? She looked at the ring, at Han's hopeful face, at the future spreading out before them, a future with safety, love, home, a future worth everything they'd fought for. Yes. The kiss happened in the garden at sunset. Han had been showing Ayana the roses he'd planted for his wife, pink blooms that would flower every spring. She would have liked you, he said. How do you know? Because you're brave. Ji Young loved brave people. What else would she have liked about me? Your stubbornness, your loyalty, the way you laugh when I burn toast. Ayana smiled. You don't burn toast. I burn everything when you're watching me cook. Why? Because you make me nervous. I make you nervous? Han turned toward her. The setting sun painted his face golden. His eyes were soft. You make me feel everything. Nervous, happy, terrified, hopeful, good terrified or bad terrified. The best kind. The kind that means something matters. Ayana stepped closer. Her hands touched his chest. She could feel his heartbeat. Strong, steady, real. Something matters. You matter. This matters. His hands covered hers. Warm. Safe. Home. Show me, she whispered. Han leaned down slowly, giving her time to change her mind. Time to pull away. Time to be afraid. She wasn't afraid. His lips touched hers softly, carefully, like kissing something sacred. Ayana felt her world shift. Everything she'd thought she knew about love, about safety, about home, it all centered on this moment, this man, this kiss. Han pulled back slightly. His forehead rested against hers. I love you, he whispered. I love you too. Are you sure about this? About us? Ayana looked into his eyes, black eyes that had seen too much violence, too much loss, but also eyes that looked at her like she was precious, like she was everything. I'm sure. Even if it's dangerous? Especially because it's dangerous. Han kissed her again, deeper this time, less careful, more certain. Ayana felt heat spread through her chest. Want, need, love so strong it made her dizzy. They broke apart, breathing hard. We should go inside, Han said. Why? Because if we stay out here, I'm going to kiss you until the stars come out. That sounds perfect. Han's smile was brilliant. You're going to be trouble, aren't you? The best kind. I was hoping you'd say that. He kissed her again, under the roses, under the sky, under the promise of forever, and for the first time in 15 years, Han Jae-min believed in happily ever after. Do-hyun found them an hour later, still in the garden, still kissing, still wrapped around each other like teenagers. Should I come back later? He called. They broke apart, laughing. What do you need? Han asked. The authorities want a statement about the ferry incident. What kind of statement? The kind that makes everything disappear. Han looked at Ayana, making sure she understood, making sure she was ready for this life, this choice, this commitment to loving a dangerous man. Handle it, Han said. All of it? All of it. Do-hyun nodded and walked away, leaving them alone with the roses and the sunset and the promise of tomorrow. No more enemies, Ayana said. No more threats. No more secrets. No more fear. Han took her hand. The ring caught the last light of day. Just us, he said. Just us. They walked back to the house together, past the memorial room with its open door, past the kitchen where Han would cook breakfast tomorrow, past all the rooms that would become their life. their future, their home, and Ayana knew with absolute certainty that she was exactly where she belonged, with the man who'd saved her, who'd loved her, who'd fought for her, the man who'd finally learned that protecting someone and loving them were the same thing. The lawyers arrived on a Tuesday morning, 3 men in expensive suits carrying briefcases and contracts. They sat in Han's study and spoke in legal terms about immunity deals and witness protection. Ayana listened from the doorway. She understood enough. Han was trading information for freedom, names and locations and financial records, everything the authorities needed to dismantle what remained of Sang-ho's organization. The deal covers your fiancé as well, the lead lawyer said. Full immunity for any peripheral involvement. She had no involvement, Han said. His voice was sharp. Of course, but paperwork makes everything official. Ayana felt relief wash over her. No more looking over her shoulder, no more fear, no more danger. Just the future they'd planned. How long for processing? Han asked. 6 weeks, maybe 8. And then you're civilians, both of you. The lawyers left their papers and departed. Han found Ayana in the kitchen making tea. How do you feel? She asked. Free. Scared? Terrified. Han's honesty made her smile. He was learning to admit fear, learning that vulnerability wasn't weakness. What terrifies you? Building a normal life. I've never been normal. Normal is overrated. Is it? Ayana set down her teacup. She turned to face him fully. I don't want normal. I want you, exactly as you are. A reformed criminal? A man who protects people he loves. Same thing? Best thing. Han's arms circled her waist, pulled her closer. She fit against him perfectly now. No hesitation. No fear, just home. Tell me about the wedding, he said. What wedding? Ours. Are we having a wedding? If you want one. Ayana considered. White dress, flowers, guests, all the traditional things she'd never thought about. Small, she said. How small? Just us. Grand Duhyun, Madame K. The garden. Perfect. When? When the paperwork is finished. When we're officially free. Han kissed her forehead. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Gran was walking again, slowly, carefully, but walking. The oxygen tank was gone. The pale color had returned to warm brown. She was healing. You look happy, she told Ayana. They sat on the veranda watching Han tend his roses. He moved with the same precision he used for everything. Every cut deliberate, every action purposeful. I am happy. He's good to you. Very good. And you love him. It wasn't a question. Gran knew love when she saw it. Yes. Then why do you look worried? Ayana felt her chest tighten. She'd been trying to hide her concerns, but Gran was too observant. What if I'm not enough? Enough for what? For this life, this house, him. Gran was quiet for a moment, watching Han work in the garden. That man looks at you like you hung the moon, she said finally. That's not what I meant. What did you mean? Ayana struggled to find words, for fears that felt foolish, for insecurities that felt small. He's had this life for years. Money, power, beautiful things. What if he gets bored with me? Baby girl. Gran's voice was gentle but firm. That man spent 15 years alone because he couldn't risk loving anyone. You think he's going to walk away from the woman who made him believe in love again? Maybe. Maybe nothing. Look at him. Ayana looked. Han was pruning dead blooms, making room for new growth. His movements were patient, careful, full of hope. He's building something beautiful, Gran said. Not just the garden, your life together. How do you know? Because he asked my permission. Ayana felt her breath catch. When? Yesterday. Formal-like, old-fashioned. Asked if he could marry my granddaughter. What did you tell him? That he better treat you right or I'd come after him with my walking stick. They laughed together. The sound carried across the garden. Han looked up and smiled. Something shifted in Ayana's chest. The worry faded. The fear dissolved. She was enough, more than enough. She was everything he wanted, everything he'd been waiting for. The dress shopping was surreal. Madame K insisted on accompanying them. She had opinions about fabric and fit and appropriate necklines. Nothing too revealing, she said. Mr. Han is traditional about some things. What things? Ayana asked. Marriage, family, protecting what's sacred to him. They found the perfect dress in a small boutique. Simple white silk, clean lines. Nothing elaborate, nothing that screamed money or status, just beautiful. It's perfect, Gran said. Are you sure? Ayana turned in front of the mirror. It's not too plain? Plain is elegant, Madame K said. Elegant is timeless. Ayana felt tears burn her eyes. She was really doing this, marrying Han, becoming his wife, building a life together. "He's going to cry when he sees you in that dress," Gran said. "Han doesn't cry. Han didn't love anyone for 15 years either. People change." The saleswoman wrapped the dress in tissue paper, careful, reverent, like packaging dreams. "When's the wedding?" she asked. 4 weeks. "Spring wedding. How lovely." Spring, new beginnings, growth, hope, everything Ayana and Han were building together. Do-hyun found her in the study 2 days before the wedding. She was addressing invitations that would never be sent, writing names of family she didn't have, friends she'd lost touch with. "Second thoughts?" he asked. "Just thoughts. About? Whether we should have invited more people. Like who?" Ayana set down her pen. "Good question. Who would she invite? Her co-workers from the diner barely knew her. Her old neighbors had their own problems. I don't have people," she said. "You have us. That's not the same, isn't it?" Do-hyun sat across from her. His expression was serious. "Family isn't about blood," he said. "It's about choice, about commitment, about showing up when things get hard. Is that what you are? Family. Han saved my life 6 years ago, gave me purpose when I had none. I'd die for him. And now? Now I'd die for both of you." The words hit Ayana's heart hard. She'd spent so long thinking she was alone, thinking family was just her and Gran, but family had grown, expanded, become something richer. "Thank you," she said. "For what? For being there, for protecting us, for becoming family." Do-hyun smiled. "Thank you for making him human again." The morning of the wedding dawned clear and bright. Ayana woke in her room for the last time. Tomorrow she'd wake in Han's bed, as his wife. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, it filled her with warmth. Madame K appeared with breakfast and coffee. She'd been bustling around for days, arranging flowers, preparing food, making everything perfect. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Ready? Nervous? Excited? Good. Brides should be excited. Were you ever married?" Madame K was quiet for a moment. Something shifted in her expression. Memory, sadness, loss. Once. Long ago. What happened? War. Different country, different life. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. Love is worth the risk, even when it ends in heartbreak." "What if it doesn't end?" "Then you're the luckiest woman alive." Madame K helped her into the dress, fastened the buttons, arranged the silk. "Beautiful," she said. "Perfect." Ayana looked in the mirror. She looked different, older, more certain, ready for whatever came next. "Are you happy?" she asked her reflection. "Completely." The garden was transformed. White chairs arranged in perfect rows, an arch of roses and baby's breath, candles flickering in glass globes. 5 guests sat waiting. Gran in the front row, Do-hyun beside her, Madame K with tears in her eyes, the nurse who'd helped Gran recover, the lawyer who'd made their freedom official, small, intimate, perfect. Han waited at the altar. He wore a black suit and white shirt. No tie. He looked nervous, happy, complete. His eyes found hers when she appeared at the back of the garden. Something shifted in his expression. Wonder, love, forever. Ayana walked toward him slowly. No music, no fanfare, just the sound of wind in the roses and her heart beating. She reached him and stopped, looking up into those black eyes that had seen so much, that had learned to hope again. "Hi," she whispered. "Hi. Ready for this?" "I've been ready since the moment I met you." The officiant began speaking, legal words about commitment and devotion, but Ayana barely heard them. She was lost in Han's eyes, in the promise of forever. "Do you take this woman?" the officiant asked. "I do." Han's voice was steady, sure, final. "Do you take this man?" "I do." The words felt bigger than language, bigger than ceremony. They felt like coming home. "You may kiss your bride." Han's hands framed her face, gentle, reverent, like touching something sacred. "I love you, Mrs. Han. I love you too." The kiss was soft, sweet, full of promise. Their first kiss as husband and wife. Their first moment of forever. The reception was in the dining room. Madame K had prepared a feast, Korean dishes and Southern comfort food, East meeting West, past meeting future. Gran gave a toast with champagne and tears. "To my granddaughter and the man who saved her. May you have everything you deserve." Do-hyun spoke next. His voice was thick with emotion. "To Han and Ayana, for proving that love conquers everything, even 15 years of fear." They cut cake and danced to music from a small speaker. Han was surprisingly graceful, his hands steady on her waist. "No regrets?" he asked. None. You? Only that it took me so long to find you. You found me exactly when we were both ready. Was I ready? Are you kidding? You saved me from bullies, fed me breakfast every day, bought me a building. I bought us a building. You bought me a life. You gave me a life. They spun slowly in the soft light, surrounded by family, surrounded by love. What happens now? Ayana asked. Now we live happily ever after. That's not a real plan. Sure it is. Wake up together, eat breakfast together, build something beautiful together. What kind of something? A marriage, a family, a future worth everything we fought for. Ayana felt tears burn her eyes. Happy tears, grateful tears, tears for the woman she used to be and the woman she was becoming. I love you, Han Jae-min. I love you too, Ayana Han. Her new name felt perfect on his lips, like it had always belonged there, like she had always belonged with him. 6 months later, the coastal cafe smelled of coffee and fresh bread. Morning light streamed through windows overlooking the harbor. Fishing boats bobbed in the distance. Ayana tied her apron and checked the morning orders. 3 regulars wanted their usual. 2 tourists ordered the breakfast special. Normal, peaceful, perfect. She'd started working here 2 months ago, part-time, just mornings, just because she wanted to. Not because she needed the money. Han had protested at first, worried about security, about safety, about her needing to work at all. But Ayana liked working, liked serving people, liked the routine and purpose and human connection. Order up, called the cook. Ayana carried plates to table 6, a young couple on vacation, honeymooners from their body language. Anything else? She asked. Just the check, please. Ayana brought their bill and left them alone with their happiness. Young love, new love, the kind that believed it would last forever, the kind that sometimes did. The bell above the door chimed. Ayana looked up and smiled. Han walked in carrying a bakery bag. He wore jeans and a blue sweater, casual clothes for his new casual life. He looked younger, happier, free. Good morning, beautiful. Good morning, husband. The word still felt new on her tongue. Precious. Perfect. Han kissed her cheek and sat at the counter, his usual spot, where he could watch the front door and kitchen. Old habits died hard. How's Gran today? Ayana asked, complaining about the physical therapist. Good sign. Very good sign. Gran had moved into the mansion permanently. Her own suite on the first floor, full medical support when needed, family when wanted. She was thriving. Coffee? Ayana asked. Please. She poured his usual. Black. Hot. Perfect. Busy morning? Han asked. Steady. You? Closed the Morrison deal. Broke ground on the community center. Han's construction company was growing, building hospitals and schools and affordable housing, using his resources for good, creating something positive from his dark past. I'm proud of you, Ayana said. For what? For becoming exactly who you were meant to be. Han's eyes found hers. Still black, still serious, but warmer now, easier. Who was I meant to be? A protector, a provider, a man who builds beautiful things. The most beautiful thing I built was a life with you. Cheesy. True. Ayana laughed. Han reached across the counter and caught her hand, his fingers interlaced with hers. Strong, steady. Home. Ready to go home? He asked. 10 more minutes. I'll wait. He always waited. Patient, devoted, completely committed to their life together. Ayana finished her shift and untied her apron. Han held her jacket while she slipped into it, still taking care of her, still protective, but different now, softer, more trusting. They walked to the harbor hand in hand. The morning was bright. Gulls called overhead. Waves lapped against the dock. Remember the ferry landing? Ayana asked. Hard to forget. Do you ever miss it? The danger, the excitement. Han was quiet for a moment, considering the question honestly. I miss the clarity, he said, knowing exactly who the enemy was. And now? Now the enemy is boredom, complacency, taking this for granted. This? You, us, peace. I won't let you get bored. Promise? Promise. They reached their car. A simple sedan. Nothing flashy. Nothing that drew attention. Just transportation for a family that valued privacy over status. Madame K is making lunch, Han said. Korean or Southern? Both. She's feeling experimental. Dangerous. The best kind. They drove home through winding coastal roads, past farms and forests and small towns where everyone waved at passing cars. The mansion appeared around the final curve, glass and stone and gardens, beautiful but not ostentatious. Home. Do-hyun met them in the driveway. He'd transitioned from bodyguard to business partner, head of security for Han's construction company. "Good morning, boss, Mrs. Han. How's the Peterson project?" Han asked. "Ahead of schedule, under budget." "Perfect. Take the afternoon off." "You sure? Family dinner tonight. Join us." Do-hyun smiled. "I'll bring wine." They walked inside together. The house was bright and warm. Madame K was indeed experimenting in the kitchen. Something smelled amazing. Gran sat in her chair by the window, reading, resting, alive. "How are my favorite married people?" she called. "Perfect," Ayana said. "How's the book?" "Scandalous. I love it." Han kissed Gran's cheek and disappeared into his study. Work to finish before dinner. Ayana sat beside her grandmother, looking out at the garden where they'd been married, where roses bloomed and love grew. "Happy?" Gran asked. "Completely. No regrets about the simple life?" "This isn't simple, this is everything." "Everything? Love, safety, family, purpose? What else is there?" Gran smiled. "Nothing, baby girl. Nothing at all." That evening they gathered in the dining room, all of them, the family they'd built from choice and commitment and love. Han carved roast beef with surgeon precision. Madame K served vegetables from the garden. Do-hyun opened wine and told stories about the construction crew. Gran laughed until she cried. Madame K blushed at Do-hyun's compliments. Han smiled more than he'd smiled in the first 15 years of his adult life, and Ayana watched it all with wonder. This life they'd built, this happiness they'd fought for, this peace that felt worth everything. "What are you thinking about?" Han asked. "This, all of this. Good thoughts? The best thoughts. Share them." Ayana looked around the table, at faces illuminated by candlelight, at family created by choice, at love that had conquered fear. "I was thinking about the night we met," she said, "in the alley behind my building." "That seems like a lifetime ago," Do-hyun said. "It was a lifetime ago. A different life for all of us." "Better life now?" Han asked. "Infinitely better." "Why?" "Because then I was surviving. Now I'm living." "What's the difference?" Ayana reached for Han's hand across the table, found it waiting for hers. "Surviving is about making it through today. Living is about believing in tomorrow." "Do you believe in tomorrow?" "I believe in forever." Han lifted their joined hands, kissed her knuckles like he had in the memorial room. But this time there was no grief, no guilt, no fear, just love, pure and simple and absolutely certain. "Forever," he agreed. Outside, wind whispered through the roses. Inside, family lingered over dinner and wine and conversation. And Ayana knew with bone-deep certainty that she was exactly where she belonged, with the man who'd saved her, loved her, fought for her, the man who'd learned that the greatest strength wasn't in being untouchable, it was in choosing who to hold close. "Ready for bed?" Han asked when the evening wound down. "Ready for everything." They said goodnight to their family, climbed the stairs together, went to their room where moonlight painted everything silver. Ayana changed into soft pajamas. Han pulled back the covers. They settled into bed like they had every night for 6 months. Together, safe, home. "I love you," Han whispered in the darkness. "I love you too." "Sweet dreams, Mrs. Han. Sweet dreams." Ayana closed her eyes and smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new joys, new moments to treasure. But tonight, she was exactly where she belonged, in the arms of the man she loved, in the life they'd built together, in the home where love had finally conquered fear. She was finally completely perfectly home.